Hi, I'm Everett McGill. I've given more than 1,400 performances on Broadway. I've had starring roles in movies and television. And right now I'm playing Big Ed Hurling on the new Twin Peaks. And I hold a BA in Speech and Theater from UMKC.
UMKC Theater was invaluable to me because of the high technology training I received while I was there. At that time, when I was in grad school about 15 to 17 years ago, Pro Tools was a pretty new piece of technology, and to have that as a design tool in a theater program was revolutionary. I had some really great professors who helped me get the most out of it, so that when I graduated from the program, that tool alone helped me have a leg up on the competition. It's pretty much the same piece of software that I use every day here in Hollywood now. Also, while I was at UMKC, I was taught the importance of being able to work with other people, work with teams, directors, designers, and actors to achieve a singular vision, to help tell a story. That's something that's absolutely imperative that I use all the time, to be able to communicate to directors my design concepts and to listen to them and to receive their ideas and to translate that into sound design. Without UMKC Theater, I wouldn't be where I am today.
In the theater program. Theater program is a very successful program at UMKC, but this is the level of analysis and deep thought that went in to choose programs that will either be eliminated or minimized in some way.
Welcome, everybody. This is quite a sight, me standing up here looking out in front of you and seeing all you folks. Thank you for attending our event tonight. For those of you who may not know me, my name is Theodore Sweats, and I serve as the Patricia McElrath Endowed Professor of Theater, and I head the MFA acting training. As I look out at all of you who have come here to be with us, here at UMKC, and I'd like to remind you all here at UMKC, the University of Missouri's designated performing arts campus. And I'm thrilled and moved to think that all of you are here because somehow you're connected to this place. You're connected to us, and we appreciate it. We have succeeded in making the entire city our artistic campus, and we cherish your participation. In an April 3rd budget guidance letter, President Choi informed us of the repercussions of the governor's budget cuts and prepared us for a system-wide reduction of 8 to 12%. As upsetting as this news was, President Choi's letter also gave us hope as he went on to clearly articulate some guiding principles by which future decisions would be made. They included making strategic decisions based on performance measures of excellence, protecting programs of excellence for faculty, research, and creative works, student outcomes, community engagement, and financial aid, and being transparent, collaborative, and accountable in making important decisions that affect the institution with input from faculty, students, and staff. Now, after this system-wide communication, the Department of Theater was instructed by the leaders of UMKC's administration to discuss and brainstorm ideas that would reduce our budget but preserve quality. A working committee was formed, and we worked diligently at this task. But to our disappointment, in the end, none of our ideas were allowed to develop, and we were simply given a number, a cut budget to implement. It was clear to all of us that the reality of this budget cut would destroy the program. And almost 40 years of careful, nurturing decisions that delivered the MFA theater training program to national prominence could and would be destroyed by one reckless decision to sacrifice excellence to meet a bottom line. And just this past Friday, in a live feed broadcast from Columbia, President Choi stated that expert analysis had determined that the UMKC theater program would be eliminated or minimized. President Choi went on to say that the MU system had to concentrate on its core duties and eliminate duplication. The fact is, we have a program that is not duplicated. We are the only MFA allowed in the state of Missouri system. President Choi also restated that the system would place the highest emphasis on programs of excellence. Well, the graduate theater program here at UMKC is definitely a program of excellence and a shining example. And it is also a shining example of how a university can engage and shape a community. During a question and answer segment in the President's live stream on Friday, it was stated by a faculty member at Columbia that the faculty must drive the discussion. Well, tonight's town hall, through celebrating the excellence and community contribution of UMKC Theater, starts publicly to drive that discussion. Tonight, you will hear from faculty, our community partners, alumni, and current students about how UMKC Theater has affected their lives. We will follow that with a question and answer segment because we want you to be part of the discussion as well. So, let's go back to the beginning, and we're going to talk a lot about excellence tonight. And the beginning of excellence, I'd like our wonderful friend for many years, who was a celebrated theater professor at William Jewell College, an alum at UMKC, and also an adjunct professor at one point at UMKC, an accomplished professional actor, and an original member of the Missouri Rep, Richard Dick Brown.
Thank you very much. Actors are often said we're egotistical, egomaniacs. I am that. I have to be that way tonight, because I am going to talk about my experience as an actor and as it relates to the excellent program I went through here in 1963, the UMKC Theater Performing Arts program. I was at the very beginning of the Missouri Repertory Theater. The very beginning. Time passed. We built this theater. I was on this stage, the very first production of Hamlet, the very first play that was produced here. I worked for Dinner Theater Incorporated for 20 years. I won every award that Kansas City could offer for being an actor. Every single one. I got an award for being the best actor for the last 10 years. I am an excellent actor. Right up the street, a few feet up there, in a little wooden theater that was taken from an army post and put up there, and that's where I tread the boards. That's where we started Missouri Repertory Theater. Excellence, Dr. McElrath brought in Alexis Menottes to direct Oedipus Rex. If you want to hear Oedipus Rex, that's fine with me too. It doesn't matter. But the excellent pronunciation is Oedipus. He is the foremost authority of Greek theater in the world, and he came here. Excellence. I work with Michael Langham, who started the Second Theater of Yale Drama School, who started the Shakespeare Company in Canada, who was known as the foremost authority of Shakespeare in the English-speaking world. He is excellent, was excellent. We all learned from him through that program. I worked with a man named John Reich, who put the Goodman Theater in Chicago on its feet, and it stands today. John Reich was an Austrian who studied under Max Reinhardt, the first actor-manager in the world. John Reich directed me in 2 French farces because he was considered to be the foremost authority in the world on French farce. He was here at the Missouri Repertory Theater through our department, and he taught students in the department through the MFA program. He was an excellent director. People ask me, what's it like to be a big fish in a small pond? I said, I don't consider Kansas City my home. A small pond. Vincent Dowling, a lifetime member of the Abbey Theatre in Ireland, came and directed, and he was a Pied Piper, and he took many people up to Cleveland, Ohio, and started the Great Lakes Shakespeare Festival. I went up there and performed. I was given the award for the best actor of the year there. I went back the next year, wasn't given the award, but was nominated for it. I learned those skills here at UMKC, just in the turning point from University of Missouri, University of Kansas City, Kansas City University. That's where KCURFM, you are KCU, Kansas City University RFM. There was a time when they cut their entire budget. But they were excellent enough, went out to the public, and the public demanded that radio station. The public must demand that the MFA program continues here. Why? Because it is an excellent program. I believe I am correct in saying that every single founder of every theater that is working today came through the MFA program. Yes. That is a showstopper. It is an excellent program. They asked me in my orals, why did you come here to a higher education? I said, I came to learn to act. And I'm happy. I think I did. I got a good start. I've been here 3 years because my undergraduate degrees were in mathematics, history, and religion. I had an acting class, and I had a makeup class. Totaled 4 hours of theater. And McElrath had known me because I was in the lead in a play that one of her graduate students, Mike Waddell, whose daddy was Waddell of Waddell and Reed, thank you very much. I don't invest with them, but I think they are excellent. And she knew who I was. So she looked at my transcript and she said, well, I can't get you into graduate school. Well, that's what an excellent professor would do. What's right? I said, what do I have to do? She said, it'll take you 3 years to get a master's degree. I said, okay. I hadn't been an excellent student most of my life because I really didn't know what I wanted to do until theater came into my head and my body. And if I weren't paralyzed on the left side, I would still be doing as much of it as I can. That's not a boo-hoo, I'm okay with it. So I said, what do I do? She said, well, you'll have to get an undergraduate degree in theater. I did. And then I enrolled in graduate school, and that was the beginning of the MFA program. And it was excellent. And you're an excellent audience. Thank you very much.
Next to speak is our Curator's Distinguished Professor of Theater here at UMKC and Dean Emerita of the College of Fellows of the American Theater at the Kennedy Center, Dr. Felicia Landry.
So I will be brief. Although I was given a great subject, I was asked to say something about the past. As a teacher of theater history, I'm in love with the past. Understanding the past helps us live better in the present and build a better future for those who come after us. UMKC Theater's past is the amazing saga of hard work and the self-denying altruism of many people who built our national reputation for excellence in professional theater training. When I joined UMKC in 1978, there was no MFA yet, but already it was widely known that with a theater department, faculty, that also ran Missouri Repertory Theater and served as its resident artists, the UMKC MA degree, as it was then configured, was already as good as the MFA anywhere else. In 1981, when UMKC was granted authority to offer the only theater MFA in the state of Missouri, that was the result of years and years of dogged, behind-the-scenes efforts by Patricia McElrath, Jim Costin, Robin Humphrey, and Francis Cullinan, and Dick Brown. Dr. Mack was famous for attending all the theater and musical events in Kansas City and using the intermissions to solicit in the sweetest, most diplomatic, most irresistible way possible financial contributions to pay for things like a lighting instrument for the rep, a scholarship for a UMKC student, or help fund the Missouri Vanguard Tour that took theater all over the state to small towns whose inhabitants otherwise would never have seen live theater. One thing I heard Patricia McElrath say many times with utmost fervor and sincerity was, people need theater, even if they don't know they need theater. On that. People need Shakespeare, even if they don't know they need Shakespeare. And once I heard her add, without live theater, people's souls shrivel up. Because of that belief, Dr. Mack was ardent to get every man, woman, and child from all parts of Kansas City away from the brain-stunting flat-screen media. And in those days, that just meant television. And expose them to the great classics that transmit the wisdom of the ages. She cared, and because of her and her colleagues, the soul of Kansas City did not shrivel. It blossomed. Those of us who worked with Patricia McElrath, and now those on our faculty who are only 1 degree of separation from her, carry a legacy of dedication to her ideals. Another program just as unreasonably targeted for minimization as ours might just curl up and let itself be killed, but not us. We have in our theater faculty DNA Dr. Mack's Irish, iron fist in a velvet glove, tenacity, and devotion to theater in Kansas City, which now thrives so abundantly that we send the talents of our alumni all over the nation. Why does our faculty boast a good proportion of mature, experienced professors? Seasoned faculty that is unrelentingly producing more and better work than the average young hotshot without a history. And President Troy, we challenge you to look at the data. We are producing more and better. Every one of us has had tempting job offers to go elsewhere, but we stayed here out of commitment to our larger theater community, Kansas City. It's because of our hard-earned past experience that we have managed to do more with less for many years before this point of no return. We have always tightened our belts and cooperated and worked through all the crises that preceded this one. Carrying a legacy of the past does not mean resistance to change. We know that the survivor is the one who can adapt to change, and we have always done that. But make no mistake, we are not just survivors. We are the leaders in our field. To us, it's not just a job. It's a 24/7 commitment to the future, to our students, and our city, and to the highest standards of the art itself. Marilyn Vos Savant was once asked the secret to a good life. She responded that it is to produce more than you consume. UMKC Theater produces more than it consumes. Is that our institutional leaders not betray us by consuming its top producers.
Thank you, Felicia. Now to talk a little bit about the seeding of excellence. You getting the motif here? Okay. I'd like to introduce two of my colleagues, and then they'll come up individually. The Hall Family Foundation Professor Emerita of Theater Movement, Dr. Jennifer Martin, and the Hall Family Foundation Professor of Design, John Ezell.
Good evening. Some of you may be familiar with this little motto: when you care enough to send the very best. For those of you who are not familiar with that, that belongs to Hallmark. Hallmark cards. For decades, that motto has reflected Hallmark's commitment to excellence. 35 years ago, the UMKC faculty engaged in a partnership with the Hall Family Foundation and embraced a similar motto: because we care enough to train the very best. I believe that our partnership was not only one of high accountability, which it was, but one of trust. Trust that Patricia McElrath's vision of a premier Master of Fine Arts professional training program and Hallmark's commitment to support that pursuit of excellence were a UMKC priority. Trust that the University of Missouri System's designation as the Performing Arts campus would be upheld. Trust that the assessment by national professional organizations would appropriately be regarded and valued. Yet, now we find our very existence under assault. As a movement professor, I'm not going to devote very many words to this, but cut to the chase. As a Hall Family Foundation professor, I exhort all of those involved in making the final decision to uphold that trust. Those in leadership well know that maintaining excellence, especially in the midst of extreme financial constraints, is a challenge of leadership. And we in the larger theater community boldly challenge Professor Choi and everyone else involved in this decision to continue supporting the MFA mission so that we can continue to train the very best.
Dick, the year you did not win the acting award, I was there. It was won by a young actor named Tom Hanks. You were robbed. To some of you, this will be a familiar story. 50 years ago, Patricia McElrath had a remarkable vision to create a professional theater company where none existed, here in the American heartland.
Excuse me, I have to go to the bathroom.
As part of that dream, she envisioned a professional theater training school in the bosom of the professional company. To that end, the Hallmark Foundation agreed to endow several practicing theater professionals with professorships as well as a dozen Hallmark fellowships for talented graduate students. Some experts in major theater centers on the East and West Coast were dubious. They doubted it could be done here in the Midwest. But they were wrong, and within just several years, the UMKC Theater Department was known as the jewel in the crown. In fact, there were and are, I believe, only 2 nationally ranked programs in the entire University of Missouri system: the School of Journalism in Columbia and the UMKC Department of Theater. I had been a guest designer for the Repertory Theater on a number of occasions, and Dr. McElrath would often say to me, "I don't suppose you would come here to teach in our program." Finally, I said to her, Well, why don't you ask me? She did, and I did, and there I was, and here I am, and that was 1986. The Hallmark Corporation was renowned for the quality of its consumer art, as well as its civic pride in Kansas City. And my faculty colleagues and I understood very well what our mandate was: to put UMKC's theater training program on the map. And I always felt like I worked for the Hallmarks. Any diminution of the strength of this program is bound to result in a national trauma, especially given the current atmosphere in this country that treats the theater in particular and the arts in general as frivolous extracurricular activities. Graduates of the UMKC theater program have been and are employed in the profession from coast to coast, on Broadway, off Broadway, Disney Entertainment, Hollywood, television, in technological research centers, and in virtually every regional theater in America. That inventory of working professionals currently exceeds 500 talented artists who are making livings, raising families, and culturally enriching the communities by creating theatrical art. It's a fact, virtually every practicing professional designer in America has an academic institutional association. And I would like to take a moment to refer to the many graduates of this program who, having had professional experiences, are associated with universities and colleges where they teach and train younger generations of students, imbuing their students with the same qualities of artistry, professionalism, literacy, and professional ethics with which they were themselves imbued by UMKC. I'd like to repeat that last statement. Imbuing their students with the same qualities of artistry, professionalism, literacy, and professional ethics with which they were themselves imbued by UMKC. Let me name only some for which we have time of these institutions where our former graduates, students, are holding forth. Cornell University, Ithaca College, State University of New York, Stony Brook, State University of New York, Buffalo, Long Island College, Brandeis University, Tisch School of the Theater, New York University, the New School for Social Research, Penn State University, the University of Maryland, East Carolina University, Ohio State University, Cincinnati Conservatory of Music and Theater, Northern Illinois University, Southern Illinois University of Carbondale, St. Louis University, Webster University, Stevens College, Barnard College in New York, University of Minnesota, University of Oregon, University of Nebraska, Kansas State University, Rice University, Lipscomb University, Nashville, University of Memphis, North Carolina School of the Arts, University of Oklahoma, Willamette University in Salem, Oregon, University of Wisconsin, Arizona State University, National University of Seoul, South Korea, University of Brasilia, Brazil, University of New Brunswick, Canada. If we had more time, I could name them all. Ladies and gentlemen, we are on the brink of a national catastrophe.
And now to shed some light on the sustaining of excellence, please welcome Professor of Economics and Dean of the College of Arts and Sciences from 2006 to 2011, Dr. Karen Vorst.
And thank you all for being here this evening, and thanks, Tom, for inviting me to say a few words. on behalf of the theater department. I had the great fortune back a few years ago to meet with the faculty and the students as the Dean of the College of Arts and Sciences, and it's been an experience that I will never forget. They are an amazing group, and they continue to produce, as you've already heard, students that are out there, and the faculty are just as well amazing. We have endowed professors, we have named professors, we have curators professor, we have professors who are in demand around the country for their own expertise in any area in the theater, from the lighting to the sound to the movement to acting to stage production, you name it, they're there because they are great at their craft and they are much in demand. And so I won't go on to the students because you saw them on the video and you've already heard a lot from them. You're going to hear from them some more. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the budget. Okay. So I am a professor of economics, so I know a little bit about budget. So I do know about the theater budget. I'm not going to go into detail, so don't be falling asleep. But I really have just one message, and it really is going back and talking about sustaining excellence. It goes back to how this thing was funded at the very beginning. Funded at the very beginning from the very high level of the university. It's only been in the recent years that this has become the responsibility of the College of Arts and Sciences, which is not where it needs to be. We need to go back to the funding model where it was before, not just because it's the right thing to do, but because this is the UMKC Department of Theater. It is not the College of Arts and Sciences Department of Theater. So when the actors go to the showcase, let's say in New York, they are there with the very best. So you have NYU, you have Brown University, Yale, they're there with the very best, and UMKC. It's UMKC's name that's there. Again, it's not the College of Arts and Sciences. So this program is the university program at the highest level, and it commands then to be funded at the highest level. It's easy to take for granted how you develop a world-class quality program. And it takes time. This thing doesn't happen overnight. And when it gets going and it gets sustained, we can see where it can actually grow. And what we know is that doesn't happen, again, it doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't happen with shrinking budgets. That is just not a sustainable model. So we have some short budget cuts that have happened. The department has wrestled with those and we're still working some of those, but the ones that have been proposed most recently are catastrophic. This is going to destroy a program that has been long time running, the best quality program, producing the best students who are going out there and getting jobs, making a name for UMKC. And the chancellor is here, so I'm going to say what he says in his speeches, and that is that UMKC is Kansas City's university. And because UMKC then, this program is part of UMKC, UMKC owes it to the community, to the students, to the faculty, and to UMKC itself to fund this program at the very high level, not just at the level up, at the university level, but at the highest level that can be sustained. And I think when that happens, you will see even more and greater things coming from this department. Thank you.
All right, let's move on now to Partnering for Excellence. And that's when we get to hear from our wonderful professional partners. And first up, please welcome Artistic Director of the Kansas City Rep, Eric Rosen.
Ted asked me at the beginning if I should be introduced in some other way, but I'm also Dr. Eric Rosen. And I'm also the Whole Family Foundation Teaching Professor of Theater here at UMKC, so wearing many hats tonight. This is a really important moment. If you follow the news as I do, what happened in London yesterday is a terrifying example of the world we live in. The politics of our moment are especially terrifying. And I'm here today to ask us all to come together in a sense of unity in spite of this national moment. I'm worried. I'm worried about a moment in which external forces turns friends into adversaries, in which external threats are met with division rather than unity. I'm here as the 4th artistic director of a 53-year-old institution that was founded as both an academic program to train the leaders of tomorrow and a center of excellence to bring great theater to the people of our region. I've been in this role for 9 years, and I've been immensely proud of the changes that have come in my tenure. When I arrived, the rep in UMKC seemed headed for divorce. Since then, the rep has raised and invested millions of dollars for the university and helped raise millions more for scholarships for the department. The theater you're sitting in is a testament to the commitment the rep has to honor the past and to build the brighter future for itself, the department, and the Kansas City theater community. But now we face an existential threat in the political reality, and this threat affects us all. The threat facing the department is a threat to all of us, and I admire and appreciate the leadership of the faculty in bringing us together tonight. What I ask, what I beg of us, is that we join together in this moment of challenge. Our power is in our collective will. The rep, the theater community at large, the Department of Theater, its students, and its faculty, and its alums. If we turn against each other, we will fall, and the future will be threatened. If we unite, we will transcend into something far better than what we are right now. My mentor, Martha Levy, who was the artistic director of Steppenwolf Theater, who passed away 2 months ago, told me in the aftermath of 9/11, when I ran a small theater in Chicago and the world seemed like it was coming to an end, that leadership is born in moments of crisis. Leadership requires the creativity to imagine a new future. And we theater people are blessed with the audacity to imagine the future despite current adversity. We take what is around us and we build something new. That is what it means to be a theater artist and what it takes to build a theater community. So here's what I pledge. I pledge that the rep will work with you, with all of you, to overcome the challenges that threaten our community. A threat to this department is a threat to us all. But here's what I ask. That we overcome the politics of separation, that we pledge to unite as one community that has the capacity to change the future, and that we look forward to what's possible without recrimination, that we imagine that future together. All of us lead by serving. We owe it to our students, our teachers, our theater companies, our theater community, and our audiences to come together as one community, united to face this grave threat. Thank you.
Next, please welcome the Executive Artistic Director of the Heart of America Shakespeare Festival, Sidoni Garrett.
You wanted to say Sid?
Yeah, I did.
It's okay, you can say that, people do. I am delighted to be here to share in this community. At the Shakespeare Festival, we're on the grass, on blankets, and with picnic baskets, and you don't get more community than that. So, would that I brought a picnic, I'd share a little something with everybody. I have 2 ways I want to speak about this tonight, personally and also via the organization which I now work for and represent. But this institution has meant a lot to me personally, and I stand here now, I was sitting earlier, seeing. Can you hear me? Oh, you were waving. I thought you couldn't hear me. Sorry. I'm not doing a shtick, really. I just thought you couldn't hear me. I'm up here among people who, many of whom have supported, inspired, and given succor to me when I needed it. When I was younger, I was fortunate enough to work here as a young director, and work with people that were pretty close in age to me at the time, and it was a really great experience for me to have that, and I hope that some of those wonderful people were happy about it too. I also got that opportunity thanks to Jeff Church. We were just talking about this the other night. One of my first professional jobs was co-directing a co-production with UMKC at the Coterie, which was at the Hobbit, and it was a great experience. Cynthia Levin also brought in a bunch of those students. We did Suburbia there, which she allowed me to direct. So I'm sitting here looking at Jennifer Martin and Tom Mardikes and Ted Sweats and Felicia Landre, and they've been incredibly supportive of me in many ways over many years. The organization which I work for, the Heart of America Shakespeare Festival, was founded, and now this is our 25th year, which is hard to believe, which is incredible. And our founder, Marilyn Strauss, spoke to Dale Rose, who was the head of acting at that time, and I know Felicia Landre, who is an honorary co-founder of the festival, to help start this institution. And ever since that time, there's not been a season where UMKC faculty, designers, UMKC stage management students, sound design, sound students, costume, people were involved in all respects, and certainly actors on the stage. So it's been that way every single year, and it still is today. So the thought of that loss and that kind of talent and ability, especially to do classical work of the size and scope which we do, classical training programs prepare you to do that work. And so the thought of not having that kind of excellence available to us is daunting. It's daunting throughout the entire community. It feeds certainly into every aspect of what we do as a theater community here. And I'm speaking, I think, maybe uniquely. I know we've all had financial struggles at times, but the festival, a few years ago, I was on TV at a podium going, "Save the festival!" Because we had serious financial issues that year. And I did not know that we were going to be able to do that season. And that is a horrible place to be. So I feel what this feels like. I felt this feels and what it feels like, and it's not good. And the great thing about it is I can stand here and say the community, after we asked them, stepped up like we're all doing tonight, because we're all about community. Theater is nothing but collaboration. It is finding ways to connect. So we work together. We find ways constantly to do more with less. We find ways to create magic out of nothing. That's the very nature of what we do. And hopefully we won't be having to do that. Eventually you can't make something out of nothing. Eventually there's nothing left. But what can happen is this. We do come together. Thank you, Eric Rosen, for that. And we are all UMKC. And we are all Kansas City. And we can all do this together in support in all ways. And remember that the play's the thing.
And now please welcome core member of the Kansas City Actors Theater, John Rensenhouse.
Hello, everyone. I am delighted also to be here in support of the UMKC Theater Department. To put it quite simply, Kansas City Actors Theater would not exist without the resources and the fine people from the UMKC Theater Department. From our inaugural production in 2004 of The Cripple of Inishmon, which starred a UMKC student, David Graham Jones, to our current production, which is now running at Union Station. Everybody go see it. The Realistic Joneses, whose set, costumes, sound, and lights were designed by a UMKC student, UMKC alumni, UMKC faculty. Another UMKC faculty person is in the show. Through 40-some productions over a span of 12 years, we have relied enormously on the resources that are generated throughout this city by the UMKC Theater Department. Our founders are very involved in the UMKC Theater Department. So, we wouldn't exist. And I feel very proud that Kansas City Actors Theater in 12 years has become an integral part of the burgeoning of the theatrical community here, which is richening, is that a word? Richening? Enrichening and enlivening the artistic community. What?
It's excellent.
Oh yeah!
You should understand, John got his MFA at Delaware.
Yeah, and I've never won any awards. But, you know, the great renaissance that we're having here in Kansas City, a lot of roads lead back to this program at UMKC, the theater department. And speaking, I did not get my MFA at Delaware, but I do want to talk about that just a little bit. I got my MFA in acting at the University of Wisconsin in Milwaukee, an urban institution, not unlike the University of Missouri at Kansas City. I have to date myself now. I started school there in 1978, and at that time, the very wise people in the University of Wisconsin system decided that they were going to devote money and resources to make the University of Wisconsin in Milwaukee a really sort of arts-centric campus, because it was in you know, the biggest metropolitan area in the state of Wisconsin. So they devoted a lot of money to support this new program that was starting up, the professional theater training program at the university. And at that time, the Milwaukee Repertory Theater was building new buildings. They were quite a big player on the national theater scene. So the school operated there for 12 years, and then they must have been different people. Then the university system decided that they were going to cut the funding for this program that I specifically went to. So the program moved lock, stock, and barrel to the University of Delaware. There is now no program there, and I don't hear much about the Milwaukee Repertory Theater on the national scene anymore. It really hurt that city. The cutting of fundings, I think, really hurt the artistic community there in Milwaukee. So don't do it here. Thanks.
Next, please welcome the producing artistic director of the Unicorn Theater, Cynthia Levin.
I can do this. Love that. You know, and all of what I hear and what I think about is collaboration and community. I came here over 40 years ago, just a little over 40 years ago. And this was a very different city. There really wasn't much theater except for the Rep. There weren't a lot of equity actors that actually lived in this city. There also wasn't a good cup of cappuccino, but things have changed. And I know all of that to UMKC. There was this incredibly special woman here, Dr. McElrath, who was a mentor to anybody who was involved in theater at that time. And so much of what I know and so much of what I do, I learned from her. I mean, it was just sort of amazing. And she was also one of the first female artistic directors in this country. And now look at us. But she was amazing, and I think about not only the quantity of people that have come from here, but the quality, which has changed our way of life. And it's interesting that there's so many artists living here, but there wouldn't be if there weren't so many theaters here in Kansas City. The Unicorn Theater would not exist if not having been started by 3 UMKC theater grads. That more than half of the theaters that are alive today wouldn't be here either, and that means we wouldn't have a theater community, and it is, you know, a shining beacon in the Midwest. And I think of our collaborations of which we have had over a dozen, and we are better together. Everybody can do something on their own, but when we get together and do a collaboration, and we do a show, and we use all of our resources and all of UMKC's resources, it is elevated. It is better than what it would be when we are on our own. And that's really, really important. And we're getting ready to do 2 more this season. I mean, we could not exist without all of these students, young blood, new blood, fresh faces, fresh ideas that come into this city every year. And I think about a third of the UMKC grads are hired by the Unicorn Theater every single year. And that's, where would we get these people? We couldn't get these people. And we wouldn't be able to sort of live up to some national standard that we're all able to do because of that. And I think in the current show, a little shameless plug, but the current show we're doing, Priscilla, Queen of the Desert right now, which you all may want to come see. You know, I think just hiring an Afton, who is our new equity stage manager. And all people need is an opportunity, and we are looking to give however many people we can an opportunity, and it only makes us better. And I can only thank this university for what it's given, not only to the Unicorn, but to this community. I don't even think there'd be a Main Street corridor with all these theaters now growing. There probably wouldn't even be a Crossroads. There just wouldn't be this level of artistry in this city if it wasn't for UMKC. So I think it's, yes, it's unfair, it's unjust, but I really think it's criminal if we let this happen.
Ladies and gentlemen, the producing artistic director of the Coterie, Jeff Church.
UMKC Theater is distinguished by its groundbreaking co-production arrangements with professional theaters in the city, and using the city's theater assets to partner in a way that's both unique and wonderful. The co-production idea actually began at the Coterie before my time with what you would call a pilot production. The production was George Orwell's Animal Farm. Shortly after I arrived, the co-productions began to be ongoing, and we began in 1992 with a production of Red Badge of Courage. In the cast was MFA student Carla Nowak. Back then, the co-productions were for actors only. Then John and Jean eventually contacted me, and we included designers. Then Tom and the department grew it to all areas of student involvement, and from there they took the concept to theaters around the city. Having a set of credits on one's resume from a host of professional theaters is vitally important to a student's future career. And what is important to the theaters is the infusion of talent and technology that UMKC Theater Department brings to us. And rarely have I seen a theater department be so integrated into the community. I wonder how many other departments at UMKC are as community integrated as UMKC Theater. Everywhere I go around the country and explain this, artistic directors are envious. In many of these cities, Nashville, Omaha, St. Louis, they don't have an MFA program to turn to create such a partnership. Our UMKC Theater Department is a major part of a healthy ecosystem here. Each year, UMKC theater actors, designers, stage managers, technicians stock the pond. Some stay, and sure, some go after graduation, but we in the greater Kansas City region have all benefited and become better for having UMKC theater, and specifically its MFA program. And to the UMKC folks at the top who make the budget decisions, it seems to me the reduction of so many department people at once creates havoc in ways you may not realize reverberates around the city. From a program that gives UMKC goodwill and respect in the community. So, I'm stating, let's not maim or damage this department, kill its reputation. It won't be any good if it becomes a shadow of its former self. Let's all come together for some real, incremental planning and cooperation.
The people you just heard from are professional partners. This moment could not happen in any other city in the country. All right, let's move on to chasing excellence and hear from some students. First up, please welcome Marianne McKenzie, who got her BA degree here at UMKC and now is an MFA candidate. She just, with the last day of finals, she became now a second-year actor in the MFA program. So, Marianne McKenzie.
Thank you, Ted and Tom, for inviting me to speak today and share my story and the appreciation I feel for UMKC Theater, its faculty, and UMKC. I came to Kansas City in 2011 for the theater department and the honors program. I am an actor, so I'm going to talk about myself a bit. And I had research programs across the country, but I ultimately decided that UMKC was the best choice for me, even as an undergraduate. Growing up in St. Louis, I had heard of UMKC, but mainly for its MFA theater program. UMKC theater is like a marker on a map. It is a huge element of this thriving community. And for those of us who aren't natives to Kansas City, the MFA program is a big part of the city's appeal. The program and city welcomed me with open arms, and I immediately began the challenge of working in high-quality educational and professional theater in KC. I felt like I had truly found an artistic home in a city and university with an amazing appreciation for the arts. I was a theater and French double major, and over the course of my undergraduate career, I integrated my theater major with other departments and on-campus organizations. For instance, I performed scenes in French from No Exit for a French theater class, and later performed this show at the Fish Tank Performance Studio with the same UMKC director. Dr. Jennifer Martin and I collaborated with the Women's Center for a performance inspired by stories from the Women's Equity Quilt Project in 2011. I also wrote an academic paper examining how French theater and censorship in 18th century Sweden slowed the development of Swedish theater and film, and the paper was published in the Lucerne Undergraduate Research Journal. I wrote this paper for Dr. Felicia Landre's theater history class. I was also lucky enough to study abroad at the British American Drama Academy in England with teachers who thought very highly of our MFA program and its faculty. After I graduated with my BA, I took a year to teach English in Corsica. UMKC Theater prepared me for this experience. I directed drama at the school and believe that I helped ignite a passion for self-ownership, creativity, and a deeper understanding of cross-cultural connections in my students. UMKC Theater taught me how to collaborate with groups, and this included those in Corsica. As our country was launched into pre-election year turmoil while I was across the pond, I saw the Kansas City theater community band together to create powerful and clarifying theater on the political stakes in the 2016 election. When I came back to the program for my MFA in acting, I was thrilled to return to a university and city that recognized the importance of theater in the bigger scheme of education and culture. I am seeing my acting technique tangibly improve, I'm learning more about theater as a viable business, and continue to develop each day as an artist. Kansas City is in the midst of an arts renaissance and is swiftly becoming a mecca for theatrical artists across the country. Each year, new and important plays and festivals are generated. New theatrical collaborations are formed with graduates of the MFA program and other artists in the KC community. And none of this would be possible without the world-class training of the MFA program. UMKC Theater provides support and incredible opportunities for budding artists who go on to, at a local, national, and international level, write and research plays, design and act in them, provide the voiceovers for commercials, movies, and networks, and additionally contribute to the TV shows and movies that you are so delighted to watch at the end of the day. The arts are truly a privilege. If we truly value education, we must do our best to maintain a wide range of academic opportunities and cultural opportunities for this university and community. UMKC Theater gives a voice to those who are underrepresented and marginalized. The department frequently chooses plays exploring race, gender, culture, and social issues. UMKC Theater is innovative and interdisciplinary, cutting edge, and a jewel in the UMKC crown. Its graduates often return to the city and further enrich its thriving theater scene and other cultural institutions, not to mention stimulating economic growth. We are one of the most active departments on campus and frequently collaborate with other departments. UMKC Theater inspires better civic engagement and helps both actors and audiences identify their core values, making them more valuable members of society and ultimately better student representatives of the university. UMKC Theater has been my artistic home for 5 years, and I am so grateful to have had the honor of studying here. Please, fight to keep my home standing. If the MFA program is compromised, it would be like a jewel wrenched out of the KC crown. Thank you for listening. Don't let us be the generation that diminishes our alma mater.
Next, please welcome an alum of our MFA acting program, graduated in 2014, and recently has just returned to make Kansas City her home, Jessica Jensen.
It's wonderful to be here with all of you tonight speaking for this program that has meant so much for me and that has had the power to lure me back to this city. After I graduated, I took the plunge. I went to New York City. After a very successful showcase experience, I decided that that was where I wanted to be to try my hand in the big city. And all the while, UMKC and Kansas City stood out in the back of my brain as that brilliant community that I had become a part of. And it always stirred around, and I was always thinking about that city that had always drawn me in and embraced me. And recently I had the opportunity to return, as I'm sure many of my fellow alumni in this room share with me, that power that the city had to lure us back. Because we were given opportunities to work with these great theaters. I had the opportunity to work with Jeff and to work with Cynthia and to work with many other organizations in this city, and they empowered me and made me feel welcome and at home. And even as I returned, 3 years later, they welcomed me with open arms. I jumped right into teaching at the Coterie again. I'm teaching with Heart of America Shakespeare Festival again. And it all felt like I had never left because this community was so enriched and so enlivened. And so when I was asked to speak here today, that's the one thing that kept swirling around in my brain. I wrote things, but I'm not saying them. Yes. I just kept thinking, wow, the power of the connection that this theater has to this community, and the opportunities that we all have to see and experience things that no city would be able to do without the students at UMKC. I mean, Cynthia mentioned it too. The community of actors, designers, technicians is constantly moving and changing, and we're able to give audiences these experiences that they wouldn't have anywhere else. And yes, these artists that we create here at UMKC go off and succeed and do marvelous things in other cities around the world, but also We are creating artists that want to stay and live and create here. Create a community that's worth sticking around for, that's sustainable, that you can work and live and make a life, a creative, wonderful, fulfilling life. Because of all these people here, because of all of these familiar, beautiful faces out here, all working together to create this community. So I don't see how it could even be possible for us to say goodbye to this. What would happen to our theater community? I mean, it just blows me away. So I think we all need to take a stand and make this go away. This can't happen. I see all these people, you guys are all strong, creative individuals, and let's all just stand together and save our beloved UMKC theater program.
And one more alum to hear from who graduated from the MFA Professional Actor Training Program, and he's currently starring in NBC's critically acclaimed Chicago Med, Nick Gelfus.
In the world of making television, an actor can be expected to work 12 to 16 hours a day, 6 days a week. Pages of dialogue can be changed at the last minute, right before you're about to film those very lines. There are hardly any rehearsals, and you get a new 52-page script every 8 days, which is the time it takes to film a full episode. You work with a new director for each episode, and new actors every day. It is easily the most fast-paced environment in the entertainment industry. The Roman philosopher Seneca the Younger said, "Luck is when preparation meets opportunity." If it wasn't for UMKC's MFA program, I would not have been prepared for my current job. And if it hadn't been for UMKC's scholarship package, I wouldn't have even considered graduate school. I'll never forget the second week of school. Ted Sweats, head of the acting department, he's sitting right there. He stopped me halfway through a homework performance in front of all my classmates. He said, "Nick, do you want to be an entertainer or a storyteller?" Some of you have heard this. It's a good one. I said, "A storyteller." He said, "Are you sure?" "It's okay if you want to be an entertainer. They make out just fine." I go, no, I'm sure. What are you getting at?" He goes, "The difference between a storyteller and an entertainer is that a storyteller features the story and an entertainer features himself. You are featuring yourself right now." Have you ever been in a situation where someone's perception of you is completely validated? However, you'll do anything you can to not give them the satisfaction they want. Yep, this was that moment for me. Because of insecurity, of being put on the spot for anything other than praise, this turned into quite a heated debate. This would not be the last time Ted and I would have this type of discourse. I would soon learn these were not personal, but rather opportunities for growth. He and the rest of our teachers challenged us every day. Another one of his many lessons that still resonates today. You know what the difference between you and me is? You are afraid to fail, whereas I expect to fail. From 8 a.m. to 11 p.m., I was submerged in my acting studies, whether I was in class or rehearsal for a production. I had never experienced such a rigorous schedule. UMKC taught me one of the key ingredients to success, a strong, consistent work ethic. My teachers taught me how to be comfortable living outside my comfort zone. You cannot expect to progress to progress if you're consistently praised and living in what you already know. I felt like a child relearning everything once I gave over to that. We learn how to see, listen, and think differently. Breaking anything down to its essence for greater understanding is an exercise I still use daily. We were told if you wanted to change your acting, you had to change the way you lived because it's all connected. And the one-on-one attention to each student's development was invaluable and possible due to our small class size. One of the most important skills for anyone working with other humans is flexibility. That I didn't expect to learn. How to work with people I didn't agree with. But above everything, I walked away with a deeper appreciation and respect for the craft. I now had ownership and authority over it. I believe that being a better actor has helped me become a better person. So it's hard to imagine the MFA program not existing because of how much it has impacted my life. The MFA program at UMKC is an opportunity to grow. It is a safe, creative home. It is a community partner for local theaters. As a student, I learned how to work in those professional environments. I think it would be an absolute shame for the program to discontinue, not only for those who work so hard to build what it is today, but for those who it will deprive in the future. Without it, people will lose the ability to follow their dreams. I am a product of UMKC MFA acting program and just one of many stories to come out of UMKC Theater. Thank you for listening.
I'd like to call upon a couple of my colleagues who are out there who I'd like to invite up, and they'd like to tell their personal stories and express their appreciation of what this place is to them. Would you please welcome Assistant Teaching Professor of Lighting Technology, Shane Rouse, and Teaching Assistant Professor of Technical Theater, Chaz Bell.
I came to Kansas City in 1988. I was fresh out of college, didn't know what I was going to do with my career. If you'd asked me at the time, I would have said that I was going to work for a couple of years in Kansas City, build up my resume, and then go on to someplace more important. It's been 29 years and I'm still here. What I found when I got here was this fantastic community that we've all been talking about today. I found collaborators and friends and mentors. I found people who would give me opportunities to design and who would let me make mistakes and who would let me learn from those mistakes, help me to succeed, become better at my craft. About 3 years later, I was working summer stock in Mount Carroll, Illinois, and I met Marianne. I wanted her to come to Kansas City, hang out with me a little bit. I thought she was pretty great. So I sent her a picture of myself so that I could show her that I was one of the cool kids. I think probably in retrospect, showing her that I was a draftsman was not necessarily the greatest thing, but for whatever reason it worked out. She came here, we made a life. We got married, we had a couple of kids, Ian and Ingrid, who are here this evening. One of the things that we learned about Kansas City Theater is that it's a great place to raise your children. I don't know. I don't know that you could do this someplace else. We've had nothing but support from the companies we've worked with and the people who ran those companies. Sorry. I started out. I got into theater because I started out in college wanting to be an opera singer, And one of the reasons that I changed to tech is debilitating stage fright. Anyway, our kids have grown up, raised by us and all of the people in this community, and I don't think we could ask for better. So a few years back, I kind of had a mid-career crisis. I started looking in the mirror and seeing not that young guy at the drafting table, but this older guy who's wearing glasses, and his glasses are on a chain around his neck so they won't fall out of the catwalks. And I started seeing students coming up out of the program here, young designers coming seemingly out of the woodwork. And they were talented and young and didn't have the kind of commitments that I had. They had energy and were wildly creative. And I started wondering, as time moves on, how am I going to fit into this city that I love so much, this community that I've been a part of and that has been the center of my life? And I thought about it for a while. I walked around thinking about this for a couple of years. And after a while, I realized that, you have two choices. One choice is that you can try to hold them back and become a bitter old man. Or you can become a teacher. You can become a mentor. And you can raise them up. You can pay forward the debt that you can never pay back to the people who helped you get where you are. So when I was invited to join the UMKC faculty, I got to tell you, that was probably the proudest day of my professional life. It meant that I could spend my time, full-time, trying to be the thing that my students need, trying to be a conduit between the history of our profession and the future of it, trying to find ways to connect them with the alumni who've come before them. And it's been a pretty great year. It hasn't been easy, but I've really appreciated it. I've been very grateful. As it turns out, the administration of the university is not asking me back next year. So if anybody can fix that, I'd sure appreciate it. Thanks.
Good evening. My name is Chaz Bell, and until 3 weeks ago, I was an assistant professor at UMKC in the Theater Technology program. I want to take a moment to tell you my story, and I also want to share a picture of my family to put some names with the faces you're about to hear. This is my wife, Heather, my daughter, Melody, my son, Caden, and my youngest son, Silas. He's 10 months old. So I'm trying to do this. My story at UMKC began in 2008 when I quit my job at Southwest Baptist University and moved to Kansas City to begin my graduate training. I wanted to be mentored, not just taught. I wanted a place where I could do theater alongside professionals whom I could emulate. I found that at UMKC. I was engaged to my wife at the time, and we were married in January. We were doing Great Expectations at the time. Grad school was a period of intense growth for me, but with the help of my friends, my mentors, my wife, I graduated in 2011. That summer proved to be the most eventful summer of my life. First, I found out that my wife was pregnant with our daughter, Melody. We were ecstatic, but we really needed insurance. Recently graduated and unemployed, I was applying for jobs all over the country, and because of my degree at UMKC and because of the portfolio that I had created while working here, I had options. One of those options was to stay at UMKC and be an assistant professor and mentor students like myself. I was apprehensive. because I couldn't see myself being peers with figures like John Azell and Felicia Landre. But I went for it. Suddenly my mentors became my colleagues, and more than that, they became my friends. Christy Levchenko threw a baby shower for us because we were expecting. All of my apprehensions melted away in the kindness and the encouragement that I received from the first time. In a long time, I felt at home. I was impressed by the mentorship I received, and they say that imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. So I set out to be the kind of mentor to my own students. We tackled everything together. From our own departmental productions to the conservatory's operas, to the Heart of America Shakespeare Festival, my students and I worked alongside each other, and I gave them everything I had. My proudest moment came in 2015, when a team of my students in the Institute of Research entered and won the Automation Challenge put on by Stage Direction Magazine and RC4 Wireless. My students designed and built a remote control platform that beat out teams from many other universities, including University of Cincinnati and Purdue, to bring home a prize of $10,000 in automation equipment. Those were my students, and I was so proud of them. I am so proud of them.
We're proud of you too.
Tuesday, May 16th at 5 p.m. was the deadline for faculty to submit grades. At 5:05 p.m., I received an email informing me in so many words that my position is not mission critical. And at the end, I found a one-sentence assessment of the last 8 years of my life. We appreciate your contributions and wish you well in your future endeavors. I feel like it could have been at least 2. I'm not sure what the future holds for me right now, but I'm not afraid, because I know the training here at UMKC has prepared me for this too. Thank you for listening.
So to bring this part of the program to its close, I'd like to have an experience of the mission of excellence. And to that, we've called on our colleague, Tony Award-winning stage director and playwright, and UMKC theater faculty, Ricardo Kahn.
Killing me. This is, first of all, good evening. Art and theater have always been talked about in the same sentence as society, impact. But we're not talking about society here. We're obviously talking about people. It's people, human beings. When we talk about community, we talk about people. Society is something we look at after the fact to see, well, did we do a good job? And if we did, then we had an impact on society. The ramifications of what I hope will not happen, but might happen, is at least on the table, are not just, Jeff, affecting Kansas City. They are affecting our entire country. And I have been here now for 10 years. And it's been a year after year thing, and that's cool, I understand that. But I've had the great honor and privilege of working with people here who said to me in the very beginning, we want to be within the top 10 nationally. And damn it, look where we are now. Right? I mean, we're not a minor intersection here. The roads lead here. They come from here. And they affect people. People. And the 10 years since I've been here, I started writing to people like the writers I've worked with. And you know what they did? They all started writing back, say, Rick, leave our letters in the record. And so I brought them, Ted. I brought letters from Nicole Salter, one of the playwrights, who's an Obie Award winner. Denise Nicholas, an Emmy Award winner, who is one of my co-writers on Freedom Summer, which we've been working on for now, 2 years, right? And Wayne, I told you earlier, we almost made it. We were supposed to produce that play this coming year. And now it doesn't seem like that's going to happen. But we had a hell of a time, thanks to Eric and Marissa in Kansas City Rep's last festival, New Play Festival. And it made me realize the work we do is good. And it's good not just because of the team we work with, but also with the students for which we work. I got a letter from Trey Ellis, who is the head of screenwriting at Columbia, who also was a co-writer, worked with Kansas City Swing here. I heard from the folks on 18th and Vine. I heard from the folks from Quindaro. I heard from Sibusiso Mamba from South Africa, when he was here doing Train to 2010 and was blown away. And Bobby Watson, you know Bobby Watson, one of our greatest jazz musicians of all time, who wrote, because he couldn't be here today, Rick, I'm sorry, I'm in Hawaii. But it's cool, it's all right. Because he just wanted me to know and let you know how much that meant for him and the music department to work with us here to create something using one of his greatest passions, music, and something he's never done before. Marvin Robinson was the person who kind of helped us a lot when we did my first play here called Quindaro. And I did Quindaro because I learned about this town that was right here in this community, and few people knew about it and its history. And Marvin Robinson is the one that, because we did that play, wrote a letter to me talking about, okay, this is based on what if UMKC Theater never did Quindaro. And speaking on behalf of the families of Quindaro, he started to list them. Quindaro would be a golf course right now. Quindaro would not be considered, they're considering it for a National Historic Site. Quindaro would not have a little museum now. It's little, but it's there. The people of Quindaro, Nick, you were in there. And I wasn't there, but you were there, and Tom was there for the closing night, and Tom tells me the story. It was sold out every single night. And that particular night, the last night, the families of Quindaro showed up, and they had bags. They had big black plastic bags, and no one knew what they were, and no one dared ask them what they were until curtain call. And when the actors came out, the families reached in and started throwing these flowers. You're talking about a community that doesn't have a whole lot. But when you talk about heart, that's heart. I grew up in Camden, New Jersey. And not the best place in the world to grow up. But we were kids. We were kids. There was, when I lived there, there was the black YMCA and there was the white YMCA. There were the black churches and there were the white churches. There was the black library and there was the big white library downtown. We were not together. So Eric, when you talk about unity, damn straight that's what we need. We need it. And the reason we need it is because as a little kid growing up in Camden, New Jersey, somebody came along, a mother, who took me and her son when we were kids to start to go around seeing theater. We saw the Fantastics. We saw The Sound of Music. Black kids from the inner city. We got on a bus and went up to see Hello, Dolly on Broadway, starring Pearl Bailey, Cab Calloway, and an all-black cast. When I got out of that, and we got back on the bus to go back down to Camden, the bus stopped for a second, the door opened, and in came a couple of people from that cast. And you know what they said to us kids? Thank you. That's all they said was thank you. I've spent 10 years here at UMKC working with some of the finest professionals on faculty and staff that I have ever worked with before. And I've worked for the students because I want to say thank you. This is my bus, and has been for 10 years. For 10 years, we have done plays that not just allowed the students to see the power of their work, but how transformative it could be and what it could do for people. Not just here on the Hill, but across Troost. I'm talking about in Kendall, I'm talking about across the state lines, I'm talking about across the margins. And what do you do if you don't have that? What kind of America are you going to be? Is that what you want? Missouri deserves better. And I think if we were a basketball team, we wouldn't have such a problem. We'd have all the faculty we need. But LeBron is not here tonight. Jordan's not here tonight. But we are. Kansas City is. 18th and Vine is. The Unicorn is. Kansas City Rep is. The Heart of America is. The Coterie is. Kansas City Actors Theater is. The students, past, present, and hopefully future, are here tonight. And whatever we do, I just want you to understand, I know we're not talking about cutting a program out. But if you think that cutting so much of it out is leaving it alone to grow, you're wrong. I'm from Camden, New Jersey. I know what it was, and I know what happened when they started to pull things out of Camden. So, I mean, if you really, really want, same thing with Quindaro. When they drive roads through our community, you think that's for the good? Not for the people. We're the people. We're the people. And I'm speaking for the people, and I work for the people. And the plays that I have done for 10 years here have been plays that have been vehicles to get students to understand the power that they have to change the world, the power to connect with the world when we do the work. And my brother Pat is here from the very first play I directed here, The Darker Face of the Earth, right? And he's come to help me because a really good friend of mine who's not with us anymore, Ruby D., left me words that I want to leave with the students, and I also want to leave it with the others who are leaving with me, because I don't know if we're going to see each other again. So this is for you. Give me some help here, Pat. Today is ours. Let's live it. Amen? Amen. And love is strong. Let's give it. A song can help. Let's sing it. And peace is dear. Let's bring it. The past is gone, don't rue it. Our work is here. Let's do it. Our world is wrong, let's right it. The battle hard, let's fight it. The road is rough, let's clear it. The future vast, don't fear it. If faith is asleep, let's wake it. Today is ours. Let's take it.